Thank you so much, Ranveer, for joining the conversation. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you, and I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today.
Same. How's it going, Mr. Warikoo?
I am totally awesome, man, and I hear that you are doing incredibly well as well.
Yeah. Honestly, a month ago, I was in like one of the darkest phases I've ever been in. Just, I think, due to a bad lifestyle, which primarily means in my case, bad food and bad sleeping patterns. And went for a meditation retreat, fixed up my lifestyle, fixed up my head, and I'm back to 200% capacity.
Incredible, man. I love that. I was telling this to you before we started, but I want the world to also know what I admire about you at your age is the incredible clarity you have on what needs to be fixed and when. Because frankly, the solutions will emerge. वो तो आ जाएंगे, and you know enough people and you've had enough relationships formed over years to have help come your way when you need it. But for you to know that you need help, boss, आधे लोग तो वहीं अटक जाते हैं.
I think it's an outcome of having verbal diarrhea and writing for a living. It's both these things that work together, make you process your thoughts through your words, and therefore people call that process self-awareness.
Humility as well, man. Doing well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Humility is great for the brand, dude. So I'm kidding. No, it's actually
it's awesome. Congratulations on moving in here into your own place. I know it's a big move. Not an easy one to make, especially in our context. But I'm glad and I hope it's serving you well.
Thank you, bhai. Thank you. It's been good, man. And it's guys like you who educated me throughout the lockdown about, just the process of growing up. So I'm looking at it as one of those steps.
Brilliant, yeah. I want to ask you, Ranveer, as my first question today. When you were growing up, what was it like growing up when it comes to particularly money? Like, did you grow up in money? Was it comfortable? Was it difficult? And how did that form your relationship with money?
First of all, I really appreciate the question because I'm going to come clean about the truth about my childhood. For some reason, there's this narrative online that I was born to really rich parents because of the way I speak, because of my South Bombay accent. I'm not from South Bombay. I'm from a very middle-class part of Bombay called Wadala, Dadar. My parents were not rich. My family wasn't rich to begin with at all. Parents are doctors. They made a lot of money post me being 13, 14 years old. So till the age of 13, 14, I lived like an intensely middle-class life. And up till about 13, 14, money for me was one of those things where I had to care about even spending 50 rupees for, a taxi ride, spending 10 rupees on school lunches, etc. And my parents did admit me into one of the better schools in the country at the age of 10. They admitted both me and my sister. And they had to really kind of work really hard to make ends meet in that phase. Fortunately, both my parents are highly educated, so they understood the importance of education. I went to DIS, which is the Reliance School in Mumbai. And it's been the best thing that they've ever done for me as parents. And I know what they had to go through and the sacrifices they had to make that happen for myself. So that's the truth about my childhood. I don't know if I answered your question about my perspective.
No, you did, yeah. No, you did. And it is funny how people have perceptions when they know the real personality. So I can very well imagine somebody assuming you to be from the rich kids club and hobnobbing with the elite and famous, being served on a platter everything that you got. But clearly your parents worked very hard, intensely hard to give you and your sister the life that you have. And of course, the education and values with which they raised you, which is awesome. Did you at any point of time hate money or felt like, gosh, yaar, zyada paisa hota, like, why do I have to go through this grind?
So here's what my parents did, which was kind of manipulative. I found out only in my 20s that they made money post the age of 13. But they let that momentum of being ultra middle class go on till I was about 20 years old or so. Like I didn't realize that we had that much money till a really late age. And I really appreciate that. I still don't exactly know how much money they make and they avoid kind of money conversations. But what they always focused on was working hard, working relentlessly. So for me, there weren't too many personal finance conversations. There weren't too many business conversations, but there were a lot of conversations about integrity when it comes to your work and dedication, which is what people see in the content today. I've been consistent on YouTube over the course of 7 years, released at least 2-3 videos every week without fail. That's an outcome of seeing my parents work on weekends. Seeing my mom kind of leave me and my sister in the middle of the night and go to do her duty as a doctor, etc., etc. So that's what I really gauge as their money education for me. In terms of personal finance education, I actually subscribed to a channel called Warikoo and got it from there. So,
तेरा चेक तेरे को आज पहुंच जाएगा.
No. But in all seriousness, my personal finance education came from my co-founder Virat Sheth. Didn't do much personal finance stuff till I was about 23, 24. Other than knowing how to budget, where it's much more a logic game and something you learn from playing video games. Where you learn how to budget. There was a game called Sims. There's obviously FIFA where you buy and sell players. So you understand basics of budgeting that, dude, don't spend all your money. So that's I really started learning about money only post 24 after working with Virat Sheth.
And when did you make your own first money?
Strangely enough, Virat Sheth and myself, we worked together in college as salesmen for a stock market workshop. The engineering colleges all over the country have these stock market and ethical hacking workshops. So we worked as salesmen. Both of us made about like 7,000, 8,000 rupees from it, but it was much more about the rush of selling something. That was literally the first earning. The first career earning came from being a fitness trainer right out of engineering college, because I really wanted to do startups, which eventually turned into YouTubing. My parents were very against it. So they told me that we're going to stop all forms of pocket money. You even got to pay for your own food. You're allowed to live in this house, but nothing else. And the final year of college, I'd done a fitness certification course, which I'd just done for fun. It was almost free of cost. It was a very low cost course back in the day. I think I paid for it strangely out of the same money I made from the stock market workshop. And I didn't think that would ever come in handy. I just did that for fun because I liked the subject. I was a certified trainer at the age of 22 with being an engineering grad. So I took that. I went up to people on Carter Road, which is a place in Mumbai. It's in Bandra. And I literally just started selling myself. I said, I'm a trainer. I look like this. I used to be like really buff back then. I was smooth with my words. And that's how I got my first few clients.
That's awesome, man. Such an incredible story. But I want to go back to the point where you realized that you want to get active, you want to get fit. And I have seen and read your story about how you were overweight, you were bullied, and that, of course, had an impact on you, both in terms of how it affected you psychologically, emotionally, as well as what you wanted to do about it. Most people will frankly just buckle down in that pressure and not even emerge from that ashes. But what got you? Like, do you think you are that person, or you always were this person कि यार जो भी हो बस सामना तो करना ही पड़ेगा इस चीज का?
No, man. I think inherently I'm not. My mom is a tigress, and I would often carry back my bullying stories to her. I would carry back my trauma to her as a kid, and her responses would always be very toughening. She'd impart a lot of confidence. She'd impart a lot of toughness. So while I want to say that, it was extremely difficult growing up, I kind of made it an internal response, even while I was going through the bullying, while I was being beaten up, while I was going through any shit in life, that when you're actually taking the punch, like literally taking a punch, and if you're on the floor, and I've gotten into an infinite number of physical fights growing up, you enjoy it and use it as like motivation to go further. So it kind of helped in the social media career when I began getting hate, and I feel over the course of COVID, because beerbiceps has gone mainstream, of course, hate has increased. And in an other life, I would have been deeply affected by whatever was being said about me, my family, my team. But I've been raised by a tigress at home. So I think, honestly, my head is made of steel thanks to that woman.
That's incredible, man. Do you often express that directly to her?
I express it through content. I send her like the video I make.
The reason I asked this is, I think it was yesterday on Twitter, I ran this poll and I was like, when was the last time you said I love you to your parents? And 78% people said not in the last 1 year, which is tragic, but also the reality of how we're all raised. And because a lot of people were like, no, I express it in action, and I express it in my emotions, I express it in my thought. But it's somewhat saddening, and I'm also part of the same tribe as you here. It's just incredibly hard for some reason to directly say thanks and I love you to our parents, irrespective of how much they've done for us. I wish something changes.
Yeah.
Do you have a perspective on that?
I think over the course of growing up, one thing I figured is that our parents are growing up as well. And that's what we tend to forget. Especially in your teenage and your college time, you do hold grudges. Every Indian kid holds grudges against their parents in their teenage and their college life. I'm yet to meet an Indian kid who says that, yeah, I have a great relationship with both my parents, And as you keep growing up, that relationship keeps getting softer, more gentle. Ideally, you get more empathetic. So, when we talk about love languages when it comes to romantic relationships, my love language is physical touch. Like I love hugs and kisses. And that's how I express my love to my mom. But I do give her words of assurance because I do sense that at this stage, that's what she needs from an almost 30-year-old son.
Exactly. How hard was it? You did mention that they were not much in favor of you joining mainstream fitness and then seeing you as a YouTuber, which as doctors I would have believed would be like, boss, kahan chala gaya hamara ladka? How long did it take you to convince them, if at all they needed that convincing, and what was the hardest part of it?
The hardest part was conning them for 2 years and telling them I'm working on a startup when I was actually running a YouTube channel. And then having their friends send them WhatsApp videos saying, is this your son? But that was the hardest part, maintaining the con for 2 years. I was a very manipulative kid, man. I would like to believe I've gotten very honest in life going forward because of the spirituality. But back then, I was like super manipulative. The money that I saved from my first salary, I mean, after I spent some money on the fitness course, the rest of it was just lying in my cupboard. It was cash. So I used it to make a massive tattoo on my back. And I didn't tell my mom about it for a year until the day that I was sleeping on a bed. And I woke up with one slap on my face. So you got a tattoo? Where did you get a tattoo? So the career version of this was lying to them for 2 years. I told them I'm doing a fitness startup, when in truth I was teaching India about India-specific fitness on beerbiceps.
Oh man, that's incredible. I love it. And when you started to do that, and I'm sure you would have seen the first signs of some happy money coming in and some sort of fame coming through, respect coming through, admiration coming through. Did it get to your head? Do you feel you handled it well, or were you like, boss, I'm the shit?
I've never thought of it this way until like literally this moment. And I'm going to just tell you what's in my heart. I've never really looked at money as kind of coming in and changing my life. My perception towards it has always been, okay, this is here. What do we do with it in order to build more for the entire team? And I can't remember a point in my career, honestly, where I looked at it thinking that it's enough. Even today, if we're making money off of a brand deal, and the position we're in as artists, as content creators, it's fantastic financially. I know from an objective standpoint, but even at this stage, constantly try to keep it moving, because I feel money is energy and it can't be stagnant in one place. So either you invest it or put it back into your business. That's just my perspective of looking at it. And it's a perspective that's worked for me. Any money that comes in is often on its way out.
and I love that. I love that approach and that this philosophy towards life, because at the end of it, वो पैसा आता रहेगा, नहीं आता रहेगा, कितना रहेगा, नहीं रहेगा, कब तक रहेगा, नहीं रहेगा. All of that is just a big question mark. So if you have it and you divert it towards something that adds purpose to not just your life but to others as well, that I think is the most meaningful use of it. Incredible. How do you pay yourself, Ranveer? Because you're an entrepreneur. You're running a proper company. It's not like this proprietorship, not a lala setup where चलो यहाँ मेरे एक safe है जिसमें मेरे पैसे पड़े हुए हैं. तो how do you pay yourself?
So honestly, we do have a certain amount of at this stage, right? So okay, for context, the last 2 years have been about bootstrapping 2 new startups. So I've effectively not paid myself in terms of building my personal finances deeply. I've put in all the money into business. I've played a high risk game, which I can afford to play at this stage because I'm not married. I don't have kids. And God has been kind enough for those games to kind of go forward. It's been good. In terms of how I pay myself now, I don't really have that expensive a lifestyle other than the house, which also doubles up as the Beer Biceps studio, and the offices, which again fuel the entrepreneurial purpose. I don't really count the clothes that I wear as expenses for myself, but I feel that Ranveer, the guy, is the first employee of the brand Beer Biceps, and the clothes I wear are a reflection of the brand, etc. In saying that, I do enjoy all this, but if I weren't in this position as a content creator, I would probably be, those dudes who say, I only wear one color because it reduces my decision making. I would actually be one of those guys. As much as I enjoy dressing well, because I get the logic, but I can't do it as a creator.
I get that. I get that. And I have to tell you, if you don't know that already, but you seem absolutely comfortable and thoroughly enjoying yourself in all the outfits and the OOTDs that you that you have through your entire content journey. It's lovely. It's almost like I have to say this. I feel that you're always like this kid in a toy store who's just so excited and yet so grateful about being where they are. And you seem to love all of it, which is why, at least from a distance, I've always loved how you've conducted yourself in your content, and it's just very endearing. It doesn't look like a farce or a facade. It's incredible.
Thank you, bro.
How do you invest your money, or who invests your money? Is it important?
I primarily work with portfolio management services. It's just been a big savior for me. I'm not very, very sharp when it comes to money. I have a lot of data points thanks to the people I hang out with and the network I've been able to build through the podcast. So I know exactly where to invest my money. But investing money is not a game that I personally enjoy on a day-to-day basis. We just spoke about being grateful for where I am in front of camera. That's my position in life. That's where I enjoy being. I enjoy being an artist and a creator. I don't take the money that's coming in for granted at all. So 2 or 3 of the core teammates around me have a pure purpose of taking care of me in the long term financially. Virat Sheth, Manish Pandey, there's someone called Mayank Kaushal and Nachiket Nisal. So I have 4 brainy people around me kind of taking care of my money, and I trust them to the degree where they even have my passwords and everything. They are more than family for me, and they've been there from the start. These are guys, I don't recommend that to anyone, especially young creators. This is not a recommendation. It's just a kind of unique bond I've been able to find with each of the 4 guys over the course of working with them. But that's how I work, based on 200% trust. And they have 200% trust in me in terms of maybe at a certain stage, I'm not able to pay them, or I wasn't able to pay them as much as compared to the options they had on their plate. But they stuck with me. They had trust in me. I have trust in them.
That's incredible, yeah. And that always pays in the long run. So I'm so glad that you're following this approach. And also, kudos to your, again, self-awareness of realizing ki strength kahan hai. What is it that I would much rather have somebody else who's far more qualified than me to handle? And then all that I have to do is just trust them, because that's the way that they will be free to do what they do best. Is that how you run your setups as well? Are you a very trusting person?
100%. And I'm also someone who values loyalty a lot. So, that whole quote, it's actually a part of a rap song. Fool me 1 time, shame on you. Fool me 2 times, the blame's on you. Fool me 3 times, F the peace signs, etc., etc. So if someone crosses me, that's it. They don't exist for me anymore. But I have very strict rules when it comes to trust and loyalty. And if someone's been loyal, if someone's been a source of trust for me, I can give my life for that person. And sports mentality, grew up playing a lot of sports. So did all the other team members. And at this stage, we hire new team members based on their inclination towards sports or their own career or their own backgrounds playing sports. And it's been magical for the startups that we're running.
That's awesome, man. On that note, I want to know, because I'm a very distant observer of all the things that you're doing. You have Beer Biceps, which is the brand. You of course have Ranveer, which is you. There is Big Bingo, which is doing commendably well. There is Monkey. What all is there beyond this?
So I think you named 3 of them. Beer Biceps is what people know. I would also attach Beer Biceps Investments to that, which is our investment wing where we've started angel investments since about the last year and a half or 2 years or so. There's Beer Biceps Foundation, which is like my baby, which is where the social work happens. And that's the real kind of king organization for me. From a capitalistic standpoint, we obviously have Big Brain Co., which began as a content house. The intention is to be able to create sort of tech meets media tech businesses out of the umbrella of Big Brain Co. Now, this is everything from possibly NFTs, possibly maybe tech platforms, possibly tools that help content creators. So we want to solve for all the problems that we're having in the content world, but that's a long-term game and it's being headed by a very capable team. And my focus and a majority of my time goes on obviously the video creation, the podcast, etc. But it goes on a meditation app that I'm working on. It's called Level. I'm co-founding that with Harshil Karya, who is the founder of Shabang. So that's where my focus has been for the last 1.5 years or so. Beta is out right now. We're going to be launching like the main product very soon. We're very far from the dream state or the final form of the product. We're very far from finding our core systems. We've bootstrapped till this point. And we are honestly starting to notice bootstrapping possibilities in the long term. So let's see how that story pans out. We're not sure if we're raising money there or not. So yeah, that's where it's at. And Level is basically an app that will guide people through their meditation, through exercise, but from a mind perspective. That's
incredible, man. I love it. That's a handful and more. I love that. You know, one thing, I don't know if this is true or not, but one thing that I feel is that you are intensely busy. Is that true?
Yes.
Do you like it that way?
I have a on and off relationship with that one, but I'm booked like slot wise, like at this stage, and I like it that way because there's so much happening, and you do feel a sense of responsibility both for Beer Biceps Foundation and the social work that begins at home. You feel a responsibility towards your team. There's people who've left lots of other opportunities to come be with you and be a part of your story. So that's why I don't enjoy. I mean, that's why I enjoy kind of working at this pace. What I don't enjoy about it is there is sacrifices when it comes to family life, personal life, etc., which is all right for the coming year or two. And then post that, I'm going to have a conversation with everyone in my team.
How often do you reassess your own life?
Every year or so, I do have one like kind of meeting with all my core folks, my closest team members, which is also a result of talking to all my mentors before that. I bounce off ideas of all the people who mentor me, and different people mentor me at different stages. Then I kind of think about it, go back to my team, and I say, okay, this is what I look at my own future as.
Nice, awesome. Coming back to money, Ranveer, what was the big first purchase you made in your life through your own money?
So my parents didn't take my career seriously for maybe 4 years into the YouTube journey. We had crossed 1 million subs. We had we had got numbers. We had even made money. But at the end of the day, it was a YouTube channel. And kind of that angst led me to creating Monk Entertainment somewhere, which was a talent management agency. We were working out of a garage, basically, with makeshift tables, dirty, cheap paint on the walls, team of about maybe 7 people, and I had 4 people on Beer Biceps. So my parents really weren't taking my job seriously. My girlfriend at the time wasn't really taking my job seriously. Her parents weren't taking my job seriously. So I had about 7 or 8 lakhs of liquid cash in my bank account. Monk Entertainment had roughly about the same. And we invested 15 lakhs, 16 lakhs to do up a space. Both Monk Entertainment and Beer Biceps were almost broke. But the result was that we had our first official office. And I remember my mom coming to that office, and though it was not in the best building, we'd done the interiors well, etc., etc. She saw a team larger than 3 people. She saw a team larger than 10 people across. So my parents started taking things seriously, and that was my first big expense. It was at the cost of my mental health, and that's not something I recommend. When it comes to expenses, ask yourself that, will this take away from your mental health? And if the answer is yes, that's too expensive. But at that stage of my career, I could take risks, and shit was kind of flowing well for me. So it was okay for me. But this is not advice. I'm just sharing an anecdote.
Yeah. When was this?
4 years in. So 2019, man, which is not too long ago.
No, not too long ago. Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah.
Wow. And what's been the most difficult time that you would remember in your life, especially when it comes to money? Like, have you had a difficult time when it comes to money?
As a kid, for sure. Honestly, the last 2 years have not been difficult in terms of money, because I feel like I don't want to say I'm in the prime of my content creation career, because my opinion on content creation careers is that they can be sustainable in the long term if you know how to play the game. The last 2 years have been challenging, bootstrapping 2 startups and not investing any of my money in my own portfolios for my personal finances, for my own future. So it's been very risky. At the same time, God's been very kind in terms of helping the podcast grow, helping content creation money grow. But it's been a very demanding journey over the last 2 years. And I've stopped bootstrapping with Big Brain Co now, because that's a profitable business at this stage. Level still being bootstrapped. So the pressure is slightly off. But the last 2 years have been a little mentally tough. Like I've had breakdowns. I've had, a lot of high pressure moments. So I'd probably say the last 2 years.
Got it. And you, I've noticed, tend to then go back to spirituality as a resolve, not as an escape. When did spirituality become an important part of your life, and how did it even happen?
Pretty much at the start of the content creation journey, I discovered the power of Om chanting meditation through a friend, and just kept at it. I figured that, gymming in college fixed my body. Grew up with a lot of body image issues, which did get fixed because of fixing my body. And I was, I think, aware enough as a 22-year-old to realize that my mind is not in the right place at the age of 22. There was too much overthinking, too much anxiety, too many negative thoughts. I had to do something for the mind. So I figured that, okay, let's apply the concepts of weight training to the mind, and just kept at it with my meditation. That led me to constantly discovering deeper paths when it came to meditation. A lot of these books that you see here behind me, a lot of them are yoga-based books from different schools. So just kept reading a lot of books about yoga in general. And every single year, I discover a new kind of power of taking care of your mind. That, okay, this year it's about better creativity. This year it's about controlling your anger. This year it's about getting calmer. This year it's about foresight. This year it's about better intuition. This year it's about something else. So it's honestly been one of those organic romantic relationships with meditation that directly impacts my career.
It's wonderful, yeah. To even realize all of this at such a young age is commendable. Forget having the discipline to go through it for such a long period. And I'm so glad you discovered it, because it's transformational, as you would testify as well. It's incredibly powerful, and it's a life skill for life. It never goes away. It's like learning the bicycle. Once you know how
100%.
to learn it, you can literally ride a bicycle wherever it is. Doesn't matter. Awesome.
100%.
I'm so glad you found that.
And I also think young kids underestimate the kind of impact it can have on their career. And I don't blame them, because in college, you don't understand why you would want to isolate your mind for 20 minutes a day or half an hour a day. My friend, wait till you become a young professional, and isolation of the mind will be sort of brain sex for you and your brain. That's what I'll say.
Lovely put, man. That's exactly the right way to land it into the Gen Z kitty. Awesome. I want to wrap up with a couple of sections that I have. Number one is this honest section of what would you say, Ranveer, is the worst thing about you?
The worst thing about me is that no matter how far I've got, like in terms of career, numbers, money, there's always a sense of self-doubt and a thought okay, all this is just going to go away. All this is temporary. And there's definitely some childhood issues at play. That's all right. I think everyone deals with it. Gradually, I'm letting go of that as well. This manifests itself as what people call self-doubt. So self-doubt is one of those things that's just been there perpetually, and it's probably kept me in check in terms of being consistent with content, challenging myself to grow to the next level. So it's also a sense of not being greedy, but never settling, which has turned into something toxic. It is something I'm trying to work out going forward as well.
Yeah. Do you feel like an imposter?
No, that's not what. I understand imposter syndrome completely. I don't deal with imposter syndrome as much as I deal with circumstance syndrome. There's a Rahim or Kabir Doha about the power of the universe and the power of God. And it says that the way God looks at your life or the universe looks at your life is like it's a little hair in the middle of a scalp. And the universe or God can easily pull that out if it wishes or they wish. So the key is to just be a good person and work hard. So maybe keeping myself in check on those two fronts keeps me away from that dude waiting to pull out that little one hair on the top of my scalp. That's what it is.
Awesome. I get that. Appreciate it. All right. The last section, rapid fire, 5 questions, whatever comes to your mind instantly. Money or power?
Power.
And why?
I think power creates an even bigger impact on the world than money can.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, let me take a shot and put you in a tough spot.
Sure.
Big brain, co, or level?
At this stage, I would say level because most of my time goes into it.
I can imagine. All right. Sleep at 1 a.m. or wake up at 4 a.m.?
Sleep at 1 a.m. You need that time to yourself.
Okay. If I were to give you 100 crores today and say, take it, no obligations, nothing whatsoever, do whatever you want to do. Or I make you 20 years again, but with all the knowledge that you have today, what would you pick?
I would pick the 100 crores because I feel time also plays a factor, the timing of certain situations. So things happen when they're supposed to happen. But if you give me money in my hands right now, I'll scale everything.
Yeah, that's a wise choice. Most people will be like this socially desirable response. Oh, make me 20 with all the things that I know. But there's a price to that. Awesome. Final question. What's the most expensive thing you have planned to buy in life sitting today?
I would love to buy a country. No, I'm kidding. I would love to start a cult. No, I'm kidding about that as well. Honestly, I early on in life, it used to be a Lamborghini, over time, I've realized that status symbols don't give me as much joy as seeing my loved ones feel joy and a safe place in a house that I've built for them. I've gained that from my offices. I've gained that from the house I've shifted into. When I see my mom's face, when I see my brother's face, my sister's face, that's what gives me peak joy in life. So I want to create, if not one dream house, and multiple dream houses all over the world to see the ones around me as happy as possible.
Awesome. All the best, man. Amen to that. I hope that will happen, and I'm certain it'll happen sooner than you expected to. Thank you so much, Ranveer. Always a pleasure to have you, and thanks for being so candid and so honest with all your thoughts. It's such a joy to meet you, to know you, and to, of course, see you grow leaps and bounds every single
day. Thank you, Mr. Warikoo. Always learning from you in every department. I'm honestly, as a fanboy, and this is not as a colleague, as a fanboy, I'm glad you're doing this podcast because I feel there's a lot more of you that will come out only through podcasts and conversations. So I'm going to fanboy hard and watch every single episode of yours.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for the support. I've learned it from the best. So I'm rooting for my success as much as yours because your experience is learning to be a lot in it. Thanks so much, man. All the best, Ranveer.
Yes, thank you, sir.
YouTube शॉर्ट्स के लिए एक डेडिकेटेड चैनल लॉन्च किया गया है जिसपे आप सिर्फ वो 60 सेकंड के शॉर्ट्स देख सकते हैं. नो लॉन्ग फॉर्मेट कंटेंट टू कंफ्यूज यू एंड होपफुली दो 60 सेकंड्स विल हेल्प यू जस्ट एज मच एज दीज लॉन्ग फॉर्मेट वीडियोस डू. सब्सक्राइब करिए. पिन कमेंट और डिस्क्रिप्शन में लिंक है टू द वारिकू शॉर्ट्स चैनल.